Hi, this is Rick Rodriguez, Senior Vice President and Retirement Mortgage Specialist with VIP Mortgage. Today I want to talk to you about how I actually got into the reverse mortgage industry. Recently I've been getting asked a lot, hey Rick, how did you come to find reverse mortgages or make a career? Is this something you dreamed of as a young boy? And I'll be honest, this is not something I dreamed of as a young boy. It was the last thing on my mind, frankly. It just kind of stumbled upon my lap one day. And that happened with George. And this was back in 2004. I was just about a year in the mortgage industry and still learning a lot about the mortgage industry. And there was a phone call that came through. And it was George. And I picked up the phone and George says, yeah, do you guys do reverse mortgages? And I said, sir, I don't know. I've never done one. I'm not sure, but if you allow me the opportunity, I can find out for you. And he said, sure, kid, go ahead. And so I got with my managers and we huddled together to see what we can do. We reached out to one of the wholesalers at that time, this was again 2004, who was offering reverse mortgages. And we set up a partnership, an account between our brokerage and the wholesaler to be able to offer the reverse mortgage. And I started researching once again how reverse mortgages work. And I say once again because when I first got in the mortgage industry, right before I started working, I bought one of these Mortgage 101 books. And there was a chapter in there on reverse mortgages. And even though I knew I wasn't going to be offering reverse mortgages at that time when I entered the industry, I glanced through that chapter and actually highlighted a few things that I thought was pretty intriguing. But again, I didn't go really deep into the product. And I had a little bit of doubts when I started reading through this. I was like, wow, this sounds like almost too good to be true. What's the catch here? So fast forward now to George and I'm kind of dusting off my knowledge of reverse mortgages and doing some additional research, trying to absorb as much information as I could in a small amount of time to be able to go back to George and have somewhat of an intelligent response to him and at least show him that I was capable of helping him with this. And I went back to him and I said, hey, George, we can do this. And I'm going to be honest, this is going to be my first one. And I might be kind of fumbling through this a little bit. And as long as you're okay with that, I'm all in. And he said, sure, let's do it. And so we, at that time, we started the process, but George was still to this day probably one of the more complex reverse mortgages I've ever done. And that was because not only was it the first time I was going to do it, but he was presently at that time in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And he was halfway through the bankruptcy, had another couple years left. And that added a layer of complexity because we had to do what's called a Chapter 13 buyout, which essentially you're getting approval from the courts to allow a refinance to happen and pay off the bankruptcy early. Aside from that, George was behind on his mortgage. The mortgage was not included in the bankruptcy. And there was a few other credit cards that also were not included in the bankruptcy that he was also behind on. He barely had any cash to his name. He was on the verge of losing his house. On top of it, George was disabled. So he was wheelchair bound. He was not mobile, or he wasn't as mobile. And so he couldn't get around to help me with getting papers signed, in a quick manner. Also, he wasn't able to go down to the courthouse either. And this is something I had to do for him. Because when you're in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you have to file a motion to, in other words, get approval to be able to do the refinance. So I had to go down to the court office to file these motions and whatever else they requested. There was some, incomplete documents, so we had to go back send more. So I was physically going on his behalf to file this paperwork. This was about a 3-month project. And throughout the process, I'm learning as I'm going. George was great. He was never got frustrated with me, and was there just very encouraging to ultimately get the job done for himself. So we had a really good working relationship. When everything was done, the dust settled, I got the reverse mortgage done. We paid off his bankruptcy, number one. So he completed bankruptcy early. They were satisfied in full. Secondly, we caught up his mortgage. So his current mortgage at the time, that got paid in full, satisfied 100%, saved his house. We also got him current with all his other credit card payments. Plus, we were able to provide him with some cash that he was able to put in a savings account to have for the future. Life-changing. I mean, this literally changed George's life. After I took a minute to kind of digest and take a step back and see what I did, I was taken back. I mean, I couldn't believe what, I was a little proud of myself too. I couldn't believe what I just had done, number one, but more importantly, how George's life just changed right before my eyes. And that was, I can't tell you how rewarding that was, to help another person who was in that kind of need and offer a solution for them to turn their life around. So again, this was 2004. Finished that transaction, and then I went back to people I was working with or for at the time, and I said, you know what? Now that we're set up, now that I've done one of these, I think I found my calling in the mortgage industry. This is what I want to do. I want to do reverse mortgages. And in 2005, I completely pivoted and started focusing just on reverse mortgages. And we started an outreach campaign, raising awareness. At the time, I was just licensed here in Nevada, so working in the greater Las Vegas area, as well as Pahrump and Boulder City through the outskirts. And we were raising awareness about how a reverse mortgage could be used and how it could offer a variety of different solutions. 20 years later, here I am, still specializing exclusively and only in reverse mortgages. Again, this is all that I do. I've lost track with how many people I've spoken to during that time. Not just people that I've actually put loans together for, but just people that I've talked to that have just reached out to me for information, and maybe they never went through with a reverse mortgage. Family members, kids, other professionals, attorneys, financial advisors, in-home care professionals that I've talked to over these years, and the experience that I've gotten from seeing firsthand how this product has worked helped to erase any of that skepticism that I had in the very beginning when I started, when I didn't know anything about the product. And that was part of the mission too for me as well, is that I wanted to see firsthand. Okay, I did one transaction and it worked out great and it was life-changing, but was that a fluke? Was that, just a one-off? So I wanted to see, is this product going to continue doing what it says it's intended to do? And am I going to then see the results, not just when I close a reverse mortgage, but after the fact, months after or years after? And am I going to have clients who are going to come back to me and say, this didn't work out the way you told me it was going to work out? Or financially speaking, it was going to put them in a worse situation. These are things that I wanted to find out. And so 20 years of having a front row seat, of seeing thousands of these situations play out for myself personally, and then of course for all the colleagues that I've worked with along the time, the different companies that I've worked with, and all the transactions that I've been closely associated with as well. I've seen how this product can help in so many ways in retirement to fulfill so many retirement objectives and solutions. And this is what's kept me in it. This is what's kept me continuing to be a specialist and an advocate of this product, because there is still so much misconceptions, so much misunderstanding on what a reverse mortgage is. And part of what fuels me every day is to help educate people and raise awareness and dispel some of those misunderstandings that have kept people from looking further into the product. And listen, the product's not going to work great for everyone. You know, I'm not trying to tell you that. I mean, this is like any kind of financial tool. It might work great for some people. For others, you know, maybe it doesn't work so well. You know, it comes down to your goals and your objectives. But at the very least, I wholeheartedly believe that anyone over the age of 62 who's a homeowner should at the very least look into the reverse mortgage for themselves. Get educated, get some information, have someone who specializes in it run some accurate numbers for you, and then talk to you about how this can be utilized in retirement planning and different strategies that we employ the reverse mortgage to help increase liquidity and savings and even decrease income taxes. And I think that at the very least, that's what one should do. So here I am, still a resource, still helping the community that I was born and raised in here in Las Vegas. Plus, over the years, I've gotten licensed now in various other states. So I work throughout the country helping other communities as well. As passionate as ever to help people in retirement have a better retirement, have their best retirement possible. And if you or anyone you know that's out there who's of age, 62 and older for the FHA reverse mortgage, 55 and older for the proprietary or private reverse mortgage, if you or anyone you know that's of age and is a homeowner and wants to, at the very least, just get some information, understand how this product works, dispel some of the myths, this is what I'm here to do, is to serve our community and be a leader in helping people best understand how a reverse mortgage can be used in retirement planning. You've got all my information here. Please reach out to me anytime if I can be of service, and I hope to talk to you soon.